guys remember I covered several months back, Matt Walsh was making a documentary, and he was lying about it to trans people to try to trick them into being in his documentary. This is back February 7th, 2022, a little over a year ago. So Matt Walsh crew is trying to trick trans people into joining a fake documentary. His producer set up a whole front organization's Gender Unity Project and tried to recruit me into his next anti-trans documentary. Here's the wild story of how it went down. It started with an email from the Gender Unity Project a couple weeks ago. They claimed they were doing a film on the trans community and gave the names of well-known trans individuals and surgeons they had interviewed. It all seemed normal at first. I even talked to the producer, Makina Lynn Waters, on the phone beforehand. She sounded like a well-meaning cis film graduate who was just curious about the trans community. She claimed the documentary was self-funded. I was suspicious because she had finished college recently, but figured she was just rich. Who has that kind of money? Later, she told me the person they were interviewing in Chicago suddenly canceled. This happens, but still, it's us. Then she offered to fly me to Arizona. Long story short, she got this woman on a video chat, and she was all nervous and stuff, and busted her and found out that Matt Walsh was actually going around just lying to people, trying to trick them into being in this documentary. And this is a tried and true technique that propagandists use. A great example of this is the banana man, Ray Comfort, used to do this all the time to try to disprove evolution. He would take his camera crews and he would go up and ask questions to people that are not used to being on camera. Some of them just lay people, but sometimes he would go ask scientists. But, you know, scientists are not professional presenters. They don't do live content on YouTube 6 hours a week. So they're not as good at speaking off the cuff as people who are more seasoned at doing this are. So it's very easy to make them look stupid, get them flustered. And especially if you're in control of the editing process. If you're the one with the camera, you can basically make people look like they're saying anything you want them to. And of course, if you interview somebody that actually knows what they're talking about, who makes a good representation for their argument, you just cut that out of the documentary. You can have a completely one-sided documentary that makes it look like the people on the opposite side are complete fucking morons who can't answer your very simple questions. Now, what is a woman? Very simple. Adult human female. That's extremely simple. But the problem is things in life aren't always simple. The topic of gender, sexuality, it's complicated, right? Most words have multiple definitions, and the definition changes depending on the context you use it in. So like mother, take the word mother. Most people think mother means, oh, well, that's the person, the woman who had the child, who birthed the child. That's the mother of the child. But in different contexts, mother could mean adopted mother. It could mean stepmother. Those are also actual mothers, but there's a separate definition for that, which change with the context. Same with woman, right? Adult human female is the main definition, but the sub-definitions involve gender. Now, gender is very closely tied to sex, but it's not exactly the same thing. So under the gender definition of woman, trans women are women, right? It seems complicated, but it's actually very simple. But if you're in control of this propaganda documentary, you can make it look however you want to make it look. And you also might remember that he used pictures of trans people without their permission, topless, including what he claims is an underage girl. Yes, in this documentary, he uses, it's a trans man, but since he's claiming that he is still a woman, is still a she, by his own definition, he's using pictures of underage women in this documentary. So all around bad, hateful, transphobic trash. Exactly what you would expect Matt Walsh to put out. So he had a big idea for Pride Month. Day one on Pride Month. What he's going to do is he's going to get his movie, What is a Woman, sponsored by Twitter. This movie, funded by billionaires. They have all the money, folks. It's very hard to compete with them. Please, please donate to the show. Trying hard to compete with these people. They have unlimited budgets, unlimited camera equipment, unlimited writers, producers, directors, plane tickets, studios, everything. which is what they had to make this documentary, right? So he decided he would take some of this billionaire's money. He's already making, millions a year pushing this filth and hate. And he would buy up a bunch of advertising on Twitter and turn the first day of Pride Month into a celebration of his transphobic movie. It didn't go quite as well as he wanted it to right off the bat, but it turned around, went swimmingly for him in the end. At first, apparently he had made a deal with Twitter to advertise this movie. And then I guess it got back to the people that monitor the content for Twitter. And they were like, well, we don't want to have anything to do with this. This is a incredibly transphobic movie. It was created under false pretenses by lying to people. It also contains footage that, according to Matt Walsh, contains underage girls topless. So we don't want this associated with Twitter. Twitter has already lost $30 billion. Advertisers have fled the site en masse. And the people that are in charge of making sure the advertisers return, the people that are in charge of content moderation, obviously we're like, well, this isn't going to help. I'm sure Elon has been on their ass. Okay, my idea of turning Twitter blue check marks into our new revenue stream hasn't worked, so we have to get the advertisers back. So I'm going to give you guys the reins to get back on the content moderation, lure the advertisers back. So immediately they were like, okay, well, we're not going to sponsor this transphobic, lying piece of shit documentary. We're going to distance ourselves from it. So immediately, Matt Walsh, of course, plays the victim, because that's 90% of what they do. Create propaganda, and then if somebody doesn't want to be associated with it, they claim they're being oppressed. So immediately he was out there. We are streaming What is a Woman free for all on Twitter tonight, despite signing an agreement with us. Twitter now says they will label the film hate speech and suppress it. This is a gross betrayal of free speech promises they have made to their users. I mean, true. Elon Musk has said that whatever is allowed on Twitter, racism, hatred, Nazi bullshit, misgendering, transphobia, it's all allowed, which is why the advertisers have fled. But folks, it's Elon's website. He 100% has the right to host any show, any movie, any channel, anything that he wants to, just like the old Twitter had a right not to. So the right-wing vlogosphere all circle their wagons to chastise Elon Musk, to bring him to his knees. And Elon is so desperate to be liked by these people. It's literally why he bought Twitter to begin with. So people like Matt Walsh and Benny Shapiro would look up to him. So then, because of all the pressure, the next thing you know, Twitter's head of trust and safety says she has resigned. Another one bites the dust. So immediately he flip-flops and he puts his full force behind promoting this transphobic propaganda film. He's the number one most followed person on Twitter, gets on there in his account. Every parent should watch this, retweets it to make sure he's still in very good with all his right-wing buddies. The entire reason he bought Twitter to begin with. All in on the hatred, folks. And worked out. It's a great week for transphobia. It's a great week for hatred. It's a great week for right-wing talking points. Matt Walsh is claiming after Elon Musk did his turnabout and advertised this film, the movie was seen 45 million times. So 100% full-on promotion, sponsorship of transphobia, trans hatred, fear-mongering during Pride Month from Twitter and Elon Musk. And then Elon's out there immediately after he's pushing millions upon millions of people to see this propaganda film, is calling for the arrest of any healthcare professional who provides gender-affirming care to young people. Herbert the Fraud, Jordan Peterson, is like, prison, long-term without parole, no mercy, and maybe for the complaint therapist as well as the butchers they enable. I don't know why he sounds like Skeletor in my mind. And Elon's like, absolutely, we should put doctors in jail for trying to help trans kids, even though we know for a fact that gender-affirming care makes trans kids 78% less likely to commit suicide. Who cares? Let's go ahead and just put doctors in prison. Let's intimidate. Let's frighten people. So that's what they're doing, folks. That's what Elon Musk uses his platform for. And if you want to know why this is such a problem, why this is so horrible, State Representative Zoe gonna explain it to us.
Now, the bill you were speaking out against, which was later signed into law by the governor, will ban gender-affirming care for minors in Montana, period. In addition, there are 18 other states that have enacted similar anti-trans laws. How, in your view, will these laws affect trans youth in your state, but also across the country?
It's important to note at the start that the slate of trans healthcare begins with something as simple as social transition, allowing a therapist to use the right pronoun for a child, allowing someone to cut their hair short or grow it long, etc. And then it bans healthcare that is done slowly, carefully, in conjunction with parents, doctors, therapists, in accordance with every major medical association's guidelines. And when you take that away, when you take the healthcare people need to live fulfilling lives, to have that pursuit of happiness, you create conditions where life becomes very difficult. And that's why we know that youth who have access to gender-affirming care have a 73% reduction in suicidality. But also in my state, we heard examples of one trans teen who attempted suicide while watching one of these hearings. And that's the impact when you take the healthcare away. It creates conditions where life becomes hard, and it's why we fight so hard to make sure that the people in our state and our country have access to this care they need.
But these right-wing douchebags, Elon Musk, couldn't give a fuck less. They just want to spread hatred, panic, fear towards trans people because it keeps us at each other's throats. It keeps us from fighting the class war against them. Get off Twitter, folks. There's literally zero on Twitter you need to know about that I won't tell you. I will cover it all until it's dead, and it will be dead. It is dying very rapidly. Something new will take its place. Until then, no reason for you to be on there.